What's up, brothers? Hope everybody's doing well out there. This week's video request comes from a subscriber who wants me to talk about how to deal with loneliness. So if you're a guy out there that is, you're struggling, you're lonely, I suppose this topic will probably resonate with you. Now, first thing that I want to say is, if you are somebody that considers yourself to be a lonely man, you should stop viewing yourself as a lonely man and just start calling yourself a bachelor. It sounds a lot cooler that way. It's a lot less depressing. Now, secondly, when you have a problem on your hands, it's never a good idea to sit around and think about the what, which in this situation, the what is that you are lonely. That is going to make you more depressed. It's going to make it even worse. What you need to worry about is the why. Why are you lonely? If you went to the doctor because you're having chest pains and the doctor said you have high blood pressure, you wouldn't sit around and worry about the what and worry about the high blood pressure. You'd think about the why. It's your diet, it's your exercise, it's your sleep, it's your stress. It's the why. That's what you would work on. And if you're lonely, you need to think about the why. Now, I don't want to make this a self-improvement video because I've made a million of those and you can watch those if you want to. But what I will say about yourself is, you have to be somebody that enjoys you. You have to enjoy yourself if you want to be somebody that other people are going to enjoy being around. You have to get used to that. For me personally, to be honest, sometimes I get to the point where I don't even feel like going out. Like, I enjoy being by myself and people have to drag me out of the house because I'm so fine just being by myself, and I think when you get to that point, that's when you're going to kind of be a magnet for other people. They're going to really be curious and they're going to want to be around you more, but you have to get to that point first. But we're going to leave that part of that whole subject, the subject about you. We're just going to leave that one out of this. There's no point. We don't need to talk about self-improvement. The why in this situation, you have to say, why are you lonely? And obviously it goes without saying, it's because you're not making meaningful connections with other people. In particular, you're not making meaningful connections with women. Okay? And I should say that I think it is a beautiful thing when I see a couple that were high school sweethearts that get married, that have families, and they grow old together. I just think that's an amazing thing. It's a beautiful thing. But due to social engineering, due to just what's being pushed in front of people, that doesn't happen very often. And that's not the fault of men. We got to be honest with this. That's not the fault of men. The social engineering isn't geared towards men. Okay, men get screwed over in the social engineering. And that's because most women, I would say women born in the 80s or later, have been basically taught and indoctrinated to become one of two women. And that is woman number one, which is the independent woman. The college educated, college indoctrinated, independent woman that don't need no man. By the way, if you ever hear a woman say she doesn't need a man, red flag, just stop talking to her. Biggest red flag you can possibly hear. You know, I would actually go as far as to say that, you know, if a woman actually says she needs a man, you know, if she's one of those women that says, I can't live without one, you know, that's a major green flag. You know, because that basically just says that she's somebody that's family oriented and she's committed to having a relationship and having a family, you know. Anyways, it's pathetic. Every woman has a father, she has brothers, she may have sons someday. For her to say, I don't need no man, it's pathetic. You know, it's throwing all the men in your life under the bus. All the men and your ancestry and your society under the bus. You know, and they wonder why male suicide rates are so high, male depression rates are so high. Go figure. Anyways, that's woman number one, the independent woman. Now, some independent women are good women. If you live somewhere like where I live in Oklahoma, you can find good independent women. You know, they're college educated maybe, but maybe they have careers, but they're still willing to put all of that stuff to the side to get married and start families and all that. But if you live in Miami, New York, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, London, Paris, you know, a lot of my viewers live in these big cities, so a lot of you guys just don't come across good women that are independent. You know, if you live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you can find them. They're all over the place, but that's a whole different subject. Anyways, that's woman number one, the independent woman. And I'd say that accounts for probably roughly 35% of women. Woman number two is the bar slut. You know, I don't know what else to call them. I'm just going to call them bar sluts. That's what, you know, my older uncles and so on and so forth called them. And a lot of women are indoctrinated to do this. You know, either they're indoctrinated by academia to be independent women that don't need men, or they're indoctrinated by the music industry, by Hollywood, you know, by their favorite singer, whatever, to be a bar slut. You know, they even do slut walks, where a lot of their favorite female entertainers go out and take their clothes off and walk down the street and fuck random dudes and get drunk. And anyways, you know, women from the age of like late high school years all the way up until they hit 30, they're indoctrinated to think that that's cool, you know, just to be bar sluts. And by the way, bar sluts are also women that will say they don't need a man. And it's ironic that they say that, because while they say they don't need a man, damn, I got all these ducks around here. Why they say they don't need a man, they're going to bars and getting drinks bought for them, you know, running around with sugar daddies, you know, having men pay the way for them while they're out being bar sluts. So it doesn't really make sense. So for the average man out there to make a connection with a woman, when these are the two predominant demographics of women, you know, how are you supposed to find a good one? We don't live in the 1960s, you know, where you're going to find a woman that just wants to get married and be a housewife. You can find that woman, but you have to be a very wealthy man to get that done. And, you know, the average man out there isn't capable of that. Most people need two incomes in the house, two careers. So chances of that happening are very slim. I'm not trying to make a doomer MGTOW type video here. I'm just saying this is the why. Now, if you're a guy that has your shit together, you know, you're cranking out close to 6 figures a year and up, and independent women find you to be a good, a suitable mate for them, then you can probably find a good independent woman that will compromise and eventually admit that she does need a man. But, you know, if you're not, I would say, a top 10% earner, your chances of making that happen are slim. You know, because if a woman's college educated and she makes $75,000 a year, in her mind, and I suppose she's right for thinking this way, she's already pulled her weight. She's done her part in terms of, you know, having a solid 2-income household. You know, she's done her part. So she expects for you to bring even more money to the table. You know, she expects you to do your part. You know, that makes sense. But let's face it, the average man out there isn't doing his part, because it's harder for men to do their part nowadays. You know, it's just difficult to be a man. Like they've put a lot of struggles, a lot of roadblocks in the way of average men. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just, you know, pointing out the facts. So for the average man out there, landing that independent woman, it's nearly impossible. And, you know, at best, they can get a washed up 30-something-year-old independent woman that's on her last leg wanting to have a baby, and they can get her pregnant and their life be a living hell for the next 18 years because she's a total bitch. You know, but let's face it, that's a reality for a lot of guys. Now, what that means is most men out there, if they want to settle down and get into a relationship, their only option is the bar slut. You know, basically, they can wife up the bar slut. Now, sure, there's always been, you know, as long as I can remember, we've had, you know, it's been common knowledge, I should say, that, you know, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. You know, different sayings that people say. And this is basically where this concept of being a PUA, a pickup artist, having game, you know, these ideas that have been presented by dating coaches, this is where this comes from, trying to turn a hoe into a housewife. So basically what you're trying to do is turn a bar slut into a good domesticated woman that would make a good girlfriend and a good wife. Which, you know, if you want to try to make that happen, be my guest. I am a Christian, and I believe that anybody can be forgiven. They can be born again. But I also am smart enough to know that sometimes, you know, you can't let just anybody into your life. You know, you can't say, well, I forgive them, and everything is good, because there's still going to be fuck-ups. And, you know, what the manosphere will teach you is they'll have different concepts that have to relate with game and PUA. So they'll say things like abundance mindset, spin plates, don't put a woman on a pedestal, and all of these things essentially mean the same thing. And, you know, if you really get down to the nuts and bolts and think about it, what this means is when you find one bar slut that you really like, in order to maintain a relationship and maintain the attraction from this bar slut, you need to have other bar sluts in your pocket so she doesn't feel like she's the only bar slut that you have an option with. You know, that's the concept of spinning plates. You know, you have more bar sluts. So you have enough bar sluts that each bar slut knows that they can be replaced, that they're not irreplaceable. You know, the whole concept is stupid. And then they say, you know, just have a program, right? So if the bar slut doesn't follow your program, she has to go. You know, charge her to the game or whatever. I agree with that. But the thing is, you know, if your parents' generation used to tell you you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, and the only women that you have options with are hoes, you're just going to charge them all to the game. You know, and the chances of finding a good, solid woman, particularly in a big city, is few and far between. You know, and I don't want to make it sound like you can't find them, because you definitely can. But if you're in a big city, it's very unlikely. If you're in a smaller town or something, you can find them. But with that being said, you know, I don't want this to be like a doomer type of video, like a sad, upsetting type of video. I just want you to understand, if you're a lonely guy, that's the why. You know, I think that will make it easier for you to know that you're not the only one. There's plenty of them out there, you know, and this is sort of something that the majority of men are dealing with in Western countries. And it's not just one particular group of men. You know, when you look at passport bro movements, I know the newest passport bro movement is being run by black guys, right? And black guys are saying they've had enough of black girls in the United States, so they're going to go to you know, Latin America or some Asian country or somewhere like that and find a different woman. But it's been going on with white dudes for more than 50 years. You know, there's been white dudes going to Thailand, China, Mexico, wherever to find women for as long as I can remember. So it's something that goes on with all guys in Western countries. It's something they're all dealing with, you know. So just understand, it's not just you. But with that being said, you know, I've said it a couple times already, but you can still find a decent woman. You know, so don't lose all of your hope. But the most important thing is, if you want to find one, is you have to get comfortable being around yourself. You know, the thing about bar sluts is, I used to think they were fun. When I was a teenager, when I was in my early 20s, bar sluts were my favorite type of girl. They were fun, we would party, I'd have sex with them. But as time went on, and the more I had sex, the more crazier and freakier shit that I did, the less fun it became as I got desensitized to it. So by the time I was 25 years old, it was like, look, going out with bar chicks just means I'm going to spend money on drinks. You know, I'm going to get myself in trouble, get myself in fights, get DUIs, go to jail. You know, a bunch of stupid shit's going to happen. And all I'm going to get out of the deal is pussy and an unfaithful bar slut. So it's not worth it. You know, and sure, you know, for myself, every now and then I'll meet a good, decent woman that I'll think about pursuing. But, you know, like I said, I'm in the place now where I enjoy being single. So loneliness is not a factor for me. And I think when you get to that place, you'll naturally have an abundance mindset. You'll naturally enjoy your own life, and you won't have this problem that you think you have now. Well, hey guys, I suppose I'm just rambling at this point, so no need to go on anymore. I'll be back in a couple of days with a new video, and if you want to join my live streams, you can subscribe to my other YouTube channel, LFA Live, and we can talk about that there. All right, guys, I got to bounce. Peace.
To the window, to the wall, until the sweat drops down my balls, until all you bitches crawl. Oh, skeet, skeet, goddamn.